Here's John Whitehead.
We, the people of the United
Do
States.
you know your U.S. Constitution? Sadly, not many Americans know much about the document that Abraham Lincoln called the only safeguard of our liberties. Recent surveys indicate that few Americans can even name specific rights guaranteed by the First Amendment, the bedrock of the Bill of Rights. Less than half of Americans surveyed can correctly identify the meaning of the separation of powers, and more than 1 in 5 identify the 3 branches of government as Republican, Democrat, and Independent. But the point of law is our U.S. Constitution. If we are to safeguard our republic, we must begin with an understanding of the rights enshrined in our Constitution. Knowing and freely exercising your constitutional freedoms are the keys to preserving your first liberties. This is John Whitehead for the Rutherford Institute.
This has been a public service announcement from the Rutherford Institute.
Gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Food for Thought. I'm Buzzy Zipwak. This is my buddy, Silly Way Out Willie.
Buzzy, good to be back in the studio here at Nutmeg. Yeah.
How's it going, bro?
Everything's good.
So, folks, it's good to have you back with us, or good to be back in your living room here. In the past shows, we've been recapping what we call politically incorrect, the New World Order.
Global governance, folks.
Global governance, that's right. And we've been trying to expose it from a lot of different angles that all point into the same direction, which really points down to servitude.
We're really good at talking a lot. We started some time ago, back in 1910. We're trying to give you a chronological order, but we're going to seem to take it in a little different direction, and before the season's open, we'll put a cap on where it is that led us to at this point.
Yep, that's right, we are. We're going to change direction a little bit. We're still going to be bringing up a lot of historical information because the way things were then is why they are today. Some of the things that have been set up and have been put in action. In the couple of weeks coming up, we're going to be exposing more about income taxes. We have an interview from Alex Jones interviewing Aaron Russo. If you've ever seen that movie, Freedom to Fascism, I strongly recommend that you do.
Aaron Russo, he's not only done documentaries, but he's ran as a candidate for governor.
Yeah, he was a governor, I think.
Was it Nevada?
Yep, I believe it was.
Right. And it was at that time he made a film, and as well as running for candidacy.
Yeah, called Mad as Hell.
He was introduced to one of the Bilderbergs, who will be introducing you to about the conversation that took place between them, and some of the things Rockefeller revealed to Aaron Russo as he tried to reel them into the New Order Council on Foreign Relations gang. But in the weeks ahead,
yeah, that's a little teaser there for you. So you're going to have to stick with it because there's a lot of information that we have to go through, and don't just take our word for it. Go seek this information out for yourself. There's a lot of it available still. The Freedom of Information Act. There are some positive things in our government. I'd like to point that out because we do bring up a lot of negative issues.
Right.
And human
nature. So
So
corrupt out there, folks. That that's why we're here. Encourage you to educate yourself and those around you so you don't have to tolerate those politricksters out there. And there's some of those politricksters out there are just really nasty. You wouldn't believe some of the things that are going on. If you look into such operations of mind control, which is the convergence of Himmler's under Hitler, studying the mind and how it operates, and when they come together with, the CIA and, things going on in this country that we'll be talking about and bringing out and that blowing our minds as we learn it. So stick with us, folks.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets frustrating because we see, as I said to you, and, just today, it's like we see a storm coming.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, I don't know why exactly, and I don't want to sound, condemning or be condescending
right,
or anything like that, but it's frustrating at times because, it hasn't personally affected me yet. Right. I have not been in a position where all of a sudden that I'm trying to do something and I can't do this,
right,
because of the corruption that has gone in, that has been riddled throughout our government, or any of the ventures that I've tried to do. I mean, one time, I'm here to admit, Canada wouldn't let me in, because of their zero tolerance policy at the border. Canada wouldn't let me in. Now, yes, when I was in my teens as a juvenile, I was just that, a juvenile, and I paid my price to society. And now I'm trying to pay something back to the community here. That's one of the reasons why we do this. Like I said, we see a storm coming. And instead of burying our heads in the sand, hoping it'll blow by, right, it's not one of those kind of storms. It's more like a typhoon. It's going to pick us all up and sweep us away.
Right, and this type of knowledge really, truly can bring you grief, folks. Some people don't have the ability to process this information when you start talking about mind control operations that go on within this country and some of the other things that, the New World Order gang is involved with. It's hard to process this because good-natured people don't believe that there's this type of evil going on in this country. And the fact is that we have to wake up and recognize it is, and then not only recognize it, but confront it. And to do that, well, we need all to unite and come together to understand these things, like I said, that are hard to process, but nonetheless, we can't turn our minds off. We have to open up our minds, expand our minds, and go beyond our comfort zone. And that's what we're here to do, is to encourage you people to do just that. You have the tools at your hand, if not in your home on the computer, in your library. So these things are very important, not only for this generation, but the generations ahead. They're going to be sucked into an Orwellian state, to say the least.
Absolutely. Parents, I don't have children. I thank the Lord for that in a lot of respects, although sometimes I do miss and wonder what it would be like to have children. And I know if I did have children, it'd be even more disturbing to me, because I wonder how how would I feed my children unless I have to get that national ID card.
Come on, Buzzy.
Or take a chip, implant it in. And we're going to get to that, folks.
Oh,
We're not the only ones just talking about that. So we are definitely going to show,
right,
give you some real, some evidence from other people, other researchers.
Right, Nicholas Rockefeller, that is the plan, ultimately, to have everyone on the global plantation chipped.
Yup. In previous shows last season, we talked about the Illuminati. First, we started off with the Skull and Bones, Adam Weishaupt, Bavarian, Germany, May 1st, 1776. We brought it over to North America through Skull and Bones, which was founded by William Taft, or William Taft's, no, that was his grandfather founded it. His son later on became President William Taft. That was the Skull and Bones, founded at Yale New Haven University in 1838.
Right. The point from bringing up all of that is that there's generational movement going on to obtain control.
Right. One of the senators involved in the founding of what we have today as our Federal Reserve, the central bank, later on becomes, lo and behold, grandfather of the Rockefeller family. So there is definitely a little circle of money, this little beehive that sticks to within its own. And let's face it, folks, human nature is we take care of our own first. That's just the way it is. I've had a parent actually try to justify to me his son stealing from me. And it's a parent's love. And it's the same kind of thing. So, if you don't think these things, just trace the money, and you will always find it points back to the same groups: Carnegie, Rockefellers, the Rothschilds.
Tax-exempt foundations, Ford foundations.
Absolutely, and we've shown in past shows, through Bohemian Grove, Richard Nixon, and Ronald Reagan, both meeting there, back in the late 50s, early 60s before
That's when your Star Wars program was made up there, and other initiatives, and yet some people just think that we really shouldn't have to worry about a bunch of rich people getting together in a grove, having a yeehaw of a time, burning effigies, whatever. But anyway, what are we going to do here? Where are we going to go?
Well, we're good. Before we introduce Ed, and while we're still on to why we do this, I can honestly show some real proof. And we talk about the technology here for a little bit. Nikolai Tesla, go online and look that name up, because he is the reason that we have alternative electricity, alternating current instead of DC.
Correct.
That's a different thing, but proof that his technology and that the technology that we have today is far beyond what we know of in the mainstream.
Oh, yes.
Look up in the sky. And I'm not talking about chemtrails, because some will argue that they are